So into today's video, let's find out a new way that Mark gets to go to the factory. It's pretty interesting, and we're going to start looking at getting into a little bit more detail about just how they put these boats together. And they're craftsmen at the end of the day, no two ways about that, so I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy seeing how this works, and also going back a few months, just how they start putting together things like fuel tanks, water tanks, how they build them. They're pretty clever people actually, and they're very meticulous about what they do. Hope you enjoy the video. We're going to get into a bit more detail from here on in. But first, we're just going to have a look at the timeline over the last few months. So here was the boat 5 months ago. No top deck on, just basically getting ready, and that's where hull number 2's at right now. Then in August, so that's 3 months ago, top deck starts going on. And then just over a month ago, the top deck's secured, but not much else happening outside. And then most recently, here is Awanui NZ really starting to make progress. And the interior, I mean, this is just 4 months ago. That's looking into the pilot house area, the left-hand side of the Dutch door there going outside. Basically bare to now. There's the pilot house cabinetry in place, getting cleaned up, and they're getting ready to stain it all for the final fit out. The floor's down, and after that it's just all the components to go in. So definite progress. In the engine room, that was it 3 months ago. So basically just the engines in. Now all the plumbing, fuel systems in, fire extinguisher system, and the cabling is just starting to go in to finish off as well. So happens pretty quick. So these are the buses I've been catching. The little blue bus called a white cap. You'll see the little white indicator on top of the bus where it's going. I've been getting that to and from work, and they're pretty amazing. So they cost about 14 lira, which is essentially $1 NZ, or about 60 cents US. So neither here nor there, but of course you've got to work out what the right amount is for where you're going. And I mean, they're amazing buses. There's seats on them for 10 people. And going to the factory the other morning, I stopped counting at 32 people. So it gets pretty crammed, and you're shoulder to shoulder. And all you do is you stand on the side of the road, you put your hand out when you see it coming, and the bus stops wherever you are. When you want to get off, Barada is what you say, and that means here. Here's somebody getting on. Now you see she gives her money to the driver, he's driving off, gives her the change. But of course, when there's 30 odd people in the bus, you can't get to the driver. So what happens is you hand the money to the next person, they hand it to the next person, they hand it to the next person, the driver takes it, and then the change comes back exactly the same way. It's amazing. Everybody's just so honest. It's pretty incredible to see. Okay, so let's have a look at what's been achieved this week. So here is one of the workers in the pilot house giving it a clean up before they mask it out and then lacquer or varnish all of those timber panels that you see in place there. So cupboards are in, chart holders, little drawer there just above his body where you can put instruments, or I guess pens, pencils, stuff like that. So he goes around and meticulously cleans every little bit out, then they check it to make sure it's just perfect, and they start the lacquering process. Once that's done, then the final fit out of the pilot house will go ahead, and what he's standing on there is completed floor that's covered up. The railing up the top here, a bit of a problem with that. The guys that manufactured it, hasn't been welded yet, said that they weren't happy with it, and I couldn't see. I had a darn good look over it. Looking over the top there, that's where the life raft goes in, just to the left of there. The fenders are tied off and off to the right as well, but I just couldn't work out what the problem was, but you'll see shortly. And here it is. You can see where the life raft goes, just those lower areas of pipe are at a slight angle to the perfectly horizontal pipe that goes around the deck. So it's coming out and it's going to be redone. Here we are down in the bottom guest cabin. So the door's in place, and see how that just slides across, slides beautifully over in front of the cupboards there. So that's all fitted. You look through from there into the utility area and the engine room. So just all sorts of little things starting to just happen around the boat. Again, covering to the right there. Once that goes down, it's a finished product underneath. And this is the ABT stabilizer system with 5.4 square metres of fins. That keeps the boat nice and stable when it's going along. And here are the stanchions. Beautiful stainless steel fittings that go on the top deck at the very back of the boat. I'll point that out for you. So there's two of those right along the back, and there's my little finger coming in, that's them. And then there's a white wire rope which has got beautiful stainless steel fittings that goes in those holes to get nicely tightened up. Here's that just coming up now. So that goes between the two, just gives you a protected area at the back of the boat. Then went over into the factory, and here's the CNC cutting machine. I mean, that's a pretty incredible bit of kit. Effectively, he's cutting out about 10 or 15 vent panels that go in the N51. So the machine spends, I don't know, half an hour doing this, and there's the vent panels for probably 3 or even 4 N41s. Pretty good setup, and you don't want to get it wrong. So the guy off to the left there, you'll see him shortly. He checks out the computer all the time, and if he just notices any blemish at all, he can make very, very small alterations so that in the end it's absolutely perfect. So that timber there is the 2 or 3 mil lamination on the top of marine ply. And you can see the little vacuum cleaner there sitting underneath the machine that sucks up all the dust as it goes along. So got some good systems in place in the factory just to make life a little bit easier for them, and it means they can kind of start setting up a bit of a production line that in the end makes building the boats an awful lot quicker than each boat almost being a custom build every time, depending on what the layout is chosen. So there's the computer all designed up, and he keeps a very, very close eye on it. And then next here is the control panel for the flybridge, and that's literally taken about 2.5 days to finish off and get polished up. And the guy was so meticulous, even touching it up with the tip of a toothpick with gel coat and then polishing it. Over here are the tops of the Dutch doors that go out of the pilot house onto the deck on either side. So they're all just getting completed now, and once all polished up, they get put together in the door and it'll go in the boat. It's so fussy when they work. I mean, that's great. Look at every little bit. They got bright LED lights on, and they check everything out and go over it with the finest of sanding. Here's a fuel tank, two of these in each boat, and that's a total of 5,489 litres between the two of them, or 1,450 US gallons. They've got panels that apparently an average sized man can get into if they ever had to go in there and clean them, and then those baffles in the tank itself can come off so you can get total access. But it takes 3 guys 4 days to make each tank, all fiberglassed individually, all to the shape of the boat, and then of course they get fitted in to the side of the hull, and then everything gets connected up to that. So again, making the moulds, or the plugs first, then the moulds, is the hardest job, and I guess once you've made one of them, it just gets quicker and quicker after that. So 2 of those in each boat, and there's the inlets and the outlets for the fuel. Water tanks, just one of these In each of the boats, they hold 1,325 litres or 300 US gallons. So one of those goes into each boat, and that supplies the fresh water for the galley, washdowns and both heads. A lot of work involved. And then I popped over and had a look at the next N51 that's, I guess, 4 months behind ours. And what they use is a urethane acrylite structural adhesive that joins the top deck to the hull of the boat, and then you get 2 layers of fiberglass all the way around the boat on the inside, wherever they can access it, that tie the two together. You can see some of it in there before it's been covered over. And then every 15 centimetres, right around the perimeter of the boat, there is mechanical fixing. And then a stainless steel rub bar goes over that. So pretty secure. And here's a look on that same boat of, as I say, where we were. Probably, it's actually 4 months ago, I would suggest. So a lot of the internal walls not in place. I'm just going down there into the main stateroom. Down the stairs. Bang the head a bit, ouch. So that's how our boat was 4 months ago. So massive difference now. So it's been pretty amazing, and they're pretty happy for me to walk around the factory, which is just great. There's the back of the boat, hull number 2. Lots of fiberglass work still going on, and from the side, that is the top deck now securely fitted to the bottom of the hull. Well, that's definitely enough from me. So now I'll just let you all watch these guys work.